Eraser. The individual materialism consciousness. The reflection of Christ consciousness is the eraser of all the downloads, uploads, and programming of the subconscious, the fallen state. The individual materialism consciousness is the purifying and purgation necessary to restore subconscious to original purity. The intent to make these impurities unrecoverable. For example, the computer-like operations of the physical brain is subject to data erasure or wiping. This is similar to the process of overwriting data on a storage device, typically a hard drive or SSD, to prevent it from being recovered even with advanced data recovery. Here, the individual materialism consciousness is eradicating data permanently, making it unrecoverable, so that ultimately the pristine purity of Christ's material consciousness will be the only reflection. This erasure or wiping implies a permanent removal of all error and impurity that cause the idea of separation and otherness. The word emptiness, as used by Buddha, the inner teacher, reflects this state of purity within the temporary personality. Overriding exhibits profound changes in the physical body's operating mechanism, from body movement to changes in one's physical appearance. Once these changes within and without were considered ascension symptoms. But since ascension only belongs to consciousness, the changes felt by the illusory body are the effects of the brainwave interfacing points of communication between the different components of the temporary personality and the avatara, the righteous heiress. An interface is a description of the actions that an object can do. For example, when the light switch is flipped, the lights turn on. There is no discussion of how or care to know, as long as the lights come on. The analogy of object-oriented programming, OOP, an interface is a description of all functions that an object must have in order to be an X. Again, as an example, anything that acts like something. For example, a light should have an off-on feature. The purpose of interfaces is to allow the individual materialism consciousness to enforce these properties and to know that an object of type A, the brain interface, must have functions called X, Y, Z, etc. The erasing of transfer data or downloads from the subconscious to the consciousness, the awakening paradigm, is the beginning phase of the purging of unwanted information from memories, habits, all defilements of the original purity. Individual materialism consciousness has the purpose to reveal this purity by use of the temporary personality. The best description for this is Vishnu, whose female form, known as Mohini. Her name means the enchantress or the one who captivates. In the myth, Mohini's role is to detract negativity and attract purity in order to obtain the nectar of immortality. Mohini, the temporary personality, diminishes the worth or value of the world ego, negativity, by distracting one's attention from the lower states of consciousness, asuras, and return one's attention to quality and refinement, the devas. Even though Mohini's weapon is Maya, illusion, when properly understood, she symbolizes the power of purity, individual materialism consciousness, and beauty, Christ material consciousness. A degraded form of the myth of Mohini is that her transformation and seduction is being a representative of transgenderism. Mohini was necessary for the outcome, erasure of good and evil, or duality, and the use as the end game. With deep introspection to the myth, one may glean Mohini, being Vishnu the dreamer, is engaging with Shiva, resulting in overcoming the fallen state represented by their child Ayyappan, with the outcome being Ayyappan, the conquering hero, defeat of the world ego. Since the dominance of the world ego, of course, all scriptures and mythologies are degraded, but by deep introspection, that what Shiva symbolizes, it will become clear of the original intent, meaning, and purpose to return the beautiful, which the Mahishi transforms into after her defeat. The individual consciousness signifies the erasing and eradication of any blemish or stain on consciousness, the awakened state. And once this high level of purity is achieved, the individual materialism consciousness shall reflect the Christ material consciousness. The abode of soul, the only presence. The eraser archetype signifies redemption and the raising from the false identity. The imposter syndrome, where the temporary considers itself aligned with the permanent truth, is aligned with the permanent. Truth is the absolute, without character or limitation. The eraser's only purpose is to metaphorically delete self in favor of the pristine state of only soul, the only presence, where ego is not needed or wanted.